What are you going to do with your life? We've heard that question plenty of times. And as artists, we might just say something, especially when we're younger, like, I don't know, just draw, bro. What else am I gonna do? But what does the question actually mean in practicality, in real terms? I think we all know subconsciously that it means how are you going to make money? What kind of job are you gonna get? How are you gonna put food on the table? Yet we've never been told this directly, at least I haven't. But we know this subconsciously because if you look around, literally every person in your life, think about everyone you know. What is their life dictated by and controlled by? It's controlled by money, of course. The world runs on money. It's 2026, and we're not in the primal days of trade and barter. And I don't think money is a bad thing, and many artists see it as something that they don't really want. And while, yes, that can be beneficial, I think as artists, we should end this chapter of our lives of completing the financial blocks as soon as possible, like what I'm trying to do here. But there are three key caveats to making money as an artist and a person in general in the modern day to avoid the plagues that money can create. Because somebody once said, more money, more problems. Now, there are three key steps, mindsets, actions we can take to change about money. The first one is a different mindset shift about money. So forget about everything you know about money, the culture, the lifestyle, whatever. In the modern world, money is not about what it can get you, but what it can save you from. Now, that might sound really intelligent or whatever, but here's what it actually means. Money is not necessarily about the things it can buy you, but the time it can give you, the safety it can give you, the generosity you can provide, etc. Of course, you still use money for things on the essentials like food, housing, emergencies, or whatever, but money isn't meant for these fancy clothes or what else what else do rich people buy? Cars, expensive houses. We don't need that. Materialism has been proven time and time again not to really improve happiness. Instead, we need to think of money as a safety net that, okay, now that I have this amount of money, I don't have to worry about whatever else. And I can focus on what I really want to do. Because when you're making art and you're not financially stable, yes, you can get into this flow perhaps, but there's always something in the back of your mind. How am I going to make money? How am I going to make money? Especially as a young artist who isn't taught that art is a viable career, that artists are still starving, even though it's 2026. It's crazy. But, and we need to understand that at some point there are diminishing returns for making money. I use an analogy that I think is crazy, but so many people seem to accept. Let's take an athlete. He plays American football, not actual football. He plays American football. He's a quarterback, and he makes, let's say, $100 million per year for 4-year contract or something like that. And these players, they really decide just based on money. This team's offering me 100 million. This team is offering me 125 million. Which one should I choose? At that point, is 25 million really gonna make a difference in their life? No. But on the opposite hand, being poor isn't good either. Let's say you're making $15,000 per year and you can barely put food on the table. Of course, you making then $100,000 a year or 150K is going to make a big difference. But at some point, especially depending on your lifestyle. There's diminishing returns. At 200K, nothing really changes. 300, 400, 500. Your life really won't change that much. You know, maybe you can use the money for a big project, or you can give it to your family. That's great. But you yourself, your life doesn't really change. So I believe we should get to that point where we see diminishing returns on the money we are making. That making more won't really change us, and we can focus on other things 100% without having this plague in the back of our mind, like, what am I going to do with my life? The second key step to making money, especially as an artist, is how you make money. Now, I'm not necessarily saying the time you spend into making money, passive income, you don't necessarily need to do that, because if you have a job that you genuinely enjoy, surrounded with good people, that time at that job will be fun. It won't feel like time wasted. Or you could be like me and try to make a business online, be an entrepreneur. That's also great. That's also fine. But what I want to open our eyes to is why and how and the methods that we actually make money. Because there are people like drop shippers, crypto investors, real estate, whatever. Those people don't care about their work. They're just doing it to make money. Instead, we should do something purposeful and also make money at the same time. And we should see money as a score, as how much value we are giving to the world. That's why here on this channel, I will be becoming the best communicator I possibly can to help you, so you can buy my product or not. That's also okay, but you will still improve from these videos. And in making money this way, we don't want to focus on the number itself. We want to focus on the input of us actually making money, or what will make us money. So whether that's you going to art school, or making a great portfolio, or you making the best YouTube videos you can, making the best artwork you can, we want to focus on that input, not the dollar exchange that we're making.